You're listening to Straight from the Hat with Ben Vaughn.
Every day starts with a broken heart. I must be too sensitive for this world. Well, I know it ain't right to cry every night. I must be too sensitive for this world.
He's had a career filled with twists and turns as a performer, songwriter, composer for film and TV, and record producer. For Ben Vaughn, the best part of the journey has been the colorful characters he's encountered along the way. His friend Laura Pocadello, who works for Sun Records in Nashville, wrote the names of those characters down and placed them in a hat. Each episode, she'll select names at random and let Ben relive the stories. No pre-planning, no filter. Just telling it like it was. Straight from the hat.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Laura.
How you doing out there?
I'm doing great. I'm over here listening to the Sparkling Organ and Piano Rhythms by Mr. Gus.
Oh, wow. That's great.
This is a record I picked up. You were actually with me when I picked this record up in L.A. You were out here for the Grammys. By the way, congratulations. Sun Records got a Grammy.
You.
And you were
another one.
Yeah, another one. I know. I picked this up, and it's an album of organ music by a guy named Mr. Gus, and on the back cover it says that he learned the organ by visiting the neighborhood funeral home.
So it's really upbeat. I will say it's not just organ music. Isn't it organ and piano? He swaps between the two.
Yeah, he plays organ with one hand and piano with the other, and it was recorded live at Clifton's Cafeteria in West Covina. And check this out. Yeah, man.
Nothing like it, really.
The whole album is great. If you can find it, Mr. Gus. The Sparkling Organ and Piano Rhythms by Mr. Gus. Okay, let's look into the hat. What do we have here?
Well, now I feel kind of stupid because I don't have Mr. Gus in the hat, but let's see who comes out next. All right, gonna pull a name here. This next name is, okay, Roky Erickson.
Roky Erickson. Another Austin, Texas legend.
Yes.
Few people are aware that Kenny Rogers' brother produced the 13th Floor Elevators. Leland Rogers.
I did not know that. That's a very interesting tidbit.
And I believe the Red Crayola, too. I think he ran, what was that label called? American International Records or something like that. And also, Roky Erickson, Janis Joplin, when she was living, spending time, Port Arthur and Austin and places like that before Big Brother and the Holding Company, she fell in love with Rocky's voice, and her scream is really, really an imitation of his scream.
Wow, yeah.
It really is. And it's been documented. It's not, I'm not making this up or wanting it to be true.
Yeah, I just had never connected that dots, and now I'm just hearing people screaming in my head, and they do sound very similar.
Rocky's scream, unbelievable. His vocal talent was unbelievable. I was in Austin in 1986, I think it was, or 87. Roky had disappeared from the scene. And when we got there, my road manager back then was Greg Harris, who is now the president and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's a big shot now, running that whole thing. And at the time, he was like a 21-year-old kid who was my road manager. He wanted the experience of being on the road. He owned a record store in Philly, and he sold his half of it to go out on the road with me. And then he went to college, and got a degree in something or other. I don't know what.
He saw enough and went back to school.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Pretty much, yeah. And he is a huge music fan, and it's really great to have at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a guy who has slept on a lot of floors, with an indie rock band with no money.
Yeah, he gets it.
He's the real thing, and he also has great taste in music, and one of his big things is Roky Erickson. he was obsessed with them. And we get to Austin, and Greg says, we got to find Roky. And I was like, well, he's out of commission. Who knows where he is? He goes, well, let's check it out. And we went to a record store, and they said, well, he rents horror films at this video store. Try going there. So we go there, and the guy says, I'll tell you what, I'll give you his address if you promise to find these tapes. And he gives them a list and bring them back. Because he's not returning stuff. So we go to this address, and it was wild. I think it was in spring, so it wasn't even cold out. So we knock on this door. The door opens, and there's this guy with a beard down to his waist, wearing a winter coat. And he goes, oh, man, I've been waiting for you guys. You finally got here. Are you okay? Did you make your phone call? Did you get everything fixed? And we're like, we have never met. And he's like, I'm glad you got everything fixed. And we're like, okay, this is already interesting. So he invites us in, and we go into the apartment, and he's got the heat on. So it's really, really hot in there. He's wearing a winter coat, and he's got a bunch of hamburger wrappers laying around and everything. And he's convinced that our car broke down, and we had to go to a phone booth, and we're coming back and waiting to be picked up. And on the wall, hung up, was the cape that he wore that said "The Evil One" on the back. It's hanging on the wall. And he had a radio station on, a Mexican radio station, really, really, really loud. So it was hard to understand what he was saying. So we hung out. Sounds
like a very overstimulating environment. Heat is blasting.
Yeah.
He's living his own narrative, and then there's the Mexican radio playing.
It was intense. So Greg Harris says, are you hungry? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, let me go out and get you a hamburger. So Greg leaves to get a hamburger, and Greg whispers to me, find those tapes. so the guys in my band are like, hey, Roky, I really like this song. I really like that song. And Roky is like kind of like half in and half out in conversation. Meanwhile, I'm scouring his apartment for Children of the Corn 3 or whatever it was. I don't know what it was. That's probably the wrong time period. But it was really, really intense. And then we left, and he was standing out in front of the apartment waving his arm saying, good luck, fellas. Good luck, fellas. And that was it. And I was so happy to hear that he got the proper help. And they raised the money to get him on the right medication and everything. And I saw him play at the Ponderosa Stomp probably 15 years ago. And he was amazing. His voice was completely there. How is that possible? Because he was also chain smoking during this whole visit. Makes sense, as well. Yeah, which I didn't even
goes without saying, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need to tell you that. But that wreaks havoc on your voice. And no, he came back 100%. And he put on a really great show. He had a great band. No teleprompter, no nothing. All the lyrics were right there in his head. So they brought him back, and it was a miracle to see. It was awesome.
Off to the hat here. We're going to pull out the next name. Oh, this is a fun one. I love your stories about her. Can you tell me about Ruthann Friedman?
Ruthann Friedman wrote Windy, the number one hit by the association. And she is a elder hippie stateswoman, human being, inhabitant of planet Earth. Although sometimes I'm not sure if she's from Earth. An amazing woman. Yeah, she wrote Windy, and the association recorded it. And I just had lunch with Ruthann and Russ Jaguar, the singer from one of the singers, because I think there were 8. I think everybody in that group sang, and with us, like 112 members in that band.
I will say this surprised me. They have one of those things on Wikipedia where they have like the chart of all the members and when they overlapped. Like normally you see that with like Yes or like prog rock bands that have this deep lore, but the association, they've got it too. They had a ton of members.
Yeah, and every one of them was a lead singer. Even the drummer could sing a lead. So, but Russ was, I believe he sang Wendy, or maybe Larry Ramos. I think they maybe sang it together in unison. But I had lunch with Russ Jaguar and Ruthann, and I heard them telling stories, and it was really, really great. She sings on it at the very end because she said they started that recording session, the vocal session, because the Wrecking Crew is the backup band on that. So once the track was done, the association went in, I think it was like 6:30 at night, and they didn't finish until 8:30 the next morning. And at the very end, and they both told this story exactly the same, so it's probably true. You know how these apocryphal things, stories behind famous recordings. The association were like, we can't sing anymore because we got to fly to a gig like in Indianapolis. We are shot. So the producer brought Ruthann in and a few other people to finish out the vocals. So she's at the very end singing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that until now. But Ruthann, she is such an amazing person. She is really someone who is not nostalgic at all. She is really here right now. She walks on the beach every morning, and she posts pictures of what the sky looks like that morning. And when you're with her, like when I was with her and Russ, he was going back in time and being sentimental about everything, and taking that sentimental journey, and it was great and everything. But she wasn't really going there with him. It was great. She was like, she's just right here, right now. Very, very vibrant person, and the music that she is writing right now might be the best thing she's ever done. And that's amazing because she's like 81 years old now, and her best music is happening right now, in my opinion.
And doesn't she perform? You host nights locally where you are in California. Doesn't she perform at some of those?
Yeah. She's on stage a lot. I have a thing called Night of 1,000 Stars that I do one Tuesday a month in Santa Monica. And Ruthann, probably every other one, I have her on stage because I just can't believe she exists. I just can't believe it. I really can't. And we're really good friends now. We just really relate to each other. But she put an album out, I don't know how long ago it happened, that Van Dyke Parks and a bunch of other people were involved in. A fairly new record. But she's got a whole mess of new songs that are even better than that new record. So I'm hoping she gets in the studio and makes a new record because she's on fire. Ruthann Friedman.
And she has a tortoise. That's what I know and love about her.
She has a very aggressive tortoise who likes to chase dogs. And dogs are frightened of this tortoise. It just follows dogs around and won't give up. But I asked Ruthann, so who was Wendy? And she looked at me and said, LSD. So there you go. That was her answer that day.
A simple answer. I love it.
Yeah. She apparently wrote that song in David Crosby's guest house. I mean, if you Google her, every 60s Topanga Canyon, Laurel Canyon icon shows up. She was right there in the middle of all that with everybody. And then she completely quit the business, didn't pick up her guitar for, I think, 30 years, raised 2 kids. And then when she decided to get back into music, she had to hire someone to teach her how to play her own songs on guitar because she had completely forgotten everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So she's back, and her guitar playing is amazing, and her performance style, I saw her do one show, it was really great. She was kidding when she said it, but there was an edge. She was opening for somebody, and the crowd was yelling for an encore, and she said to the audience, I'm not going to do an encore. Deal with it. But she said it in such a way with such an edge, it was like you almost believed her for a second that she was telling us to deal with it. It was awesome. It was really funny.
That's great.
Yeah, Ruthann Friedman. Check her out.
Well, we should take a moment and talk about straightfromthehat.com. Just in case you thought this was only a podcast, it's actually a multimedia experience. We have a website.
Oh, man. I love it. That sounds modern or something.
It is very modern. Every single episode gets its own page. There's all the other names that are mentioned, because it's not just the names that come out of the hat. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know we name a bunch of people. We talk about a bunch of songs and albums. We try to include those on the website. And there's a bunch of photos and artifacts, including stuff from Ben's own archive.
That's true. Straightfromthehat.com, there is a page for each episode. So the episode you're listening to right now, while we're talking, feel free to go to the corresponding webpage and check it out.
Check it out. Reaching into the hat, pulling a name out here. Oh, this one I'm excited for. Alex Chilton.
Alex Chilton. My first exposure to Alex Chilton, the Box Tops, when the letter came out, they were on a TV show in Philly hosted by Jerry Blavat, the Geeter with the Heater, a show called Discophonic Scene, and he had on these musical acts, and they would play live. They didn't lip sync; they would play live, and the Box Tops were on there. I met Alex and became friends with him. And he said it was their first ever TV appearance ever, and I saw it in real time, and it was really funny because Alex is known, for anyone who knows who Alex is, known for having a really dry kind of. I don't know what the word would be for his sense of humor, but it was he was messing with you a lot, And so the Geeter goes, what are your names? And he passes the mic around, and they all give their names, and he hands it to Alex, and Alex says, Dennis Yost, who was the lead singer of the Classics 4.
Right.
And the Geeter says, you're not Dennis Yost. What's your real name? and he got mad at him, And I was a huge Geeter fan, so I was on the Geeter side. I was like, no, who's that punk messing with the Geeter? I don't like it. So I kind of had a bad impression. He gave me a bad impression when he was 16, already.
Right.
The guy's trouble. And, and so I was, but I love those records, the Box Tops records, and I had a couple of the singles, and I would always play them on the jukebox wherever I was, like in a luncheonette, Cry Like a Baby, blasting out of a jukebox. Loved those records. And he had a soul voice. He sounded like he was older than he was. He was only like 16 or 17 at the time, and he sounded like a 40-year-old guy who had a lifetime of experience. Incredible vocals. And he sounded black at times. It was kind of like soul music. And then none of us heard of the Box Tops anymore. They just kind of disappeared. And I was listening to the radio, AM radio. They had a contest. The fifth caller would win the new Isaac Hayes record. And I was like, ooh, wow. So I called, and I won. And they wrote down my address, and I waited, and I was checking the mailbox every day, and finally, probably about 3 weeks later, this package arrives, and I rip it open. And it's not an Isaac Hayes record. It's a record by Big Star, a band I had never heard of. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, what is this? I found out later that Ardent Records was connected to Enterprise Records, which was connected to Stax. So somebody made a mistake at the Stax distribution or something, and that's why, I don't know.
Listen, when you work at a label, it's hard to mail stuff out. You guys don't get it. It happens. Yeah, I'm sure that's happened before when I've sent something out.
Yeah, that time you sent Jimmy Buffett instead of Jerry Lee.
Exactly.
It happens.
Completely the same.
Yeah, exactly. You won the contest. Leave me alone. so I get this record. I'm looking. I go, what the heck is this? And I didn't know Alex Chilton's name from the Box Tops. They were the Box Tops.
Sure.
They weren't big enough for everybody to know all their names. Like, I could still name all the members of the Dave Clark Five right now, but not the Box Tops. And the Buckinghams, I know one guy's name in the Buckinghams. There were some groups that made it in the teen world where everybody knew each member's name, and there were bands that didn't. And the Box Tops were one of those bands that didn't. So I didn't know Alex's name. So I put the record on, and the first song on there sounds like the James Gang or something. The singer's singing in a really high voice, and I'm like, we don't need another James Gang. So I took the needle off, and I took the record down to this record store where they traded records, and I traded it for the Isaac Hayes record that I was supposed to get, and I was very happy. and then I was reading in all these, rock journalist magazines and, fanzines and stuff that Big Star album is like a power pop masterpiece, which I don't even think was a term yet, power pop. And they were the greatest
Probably not, yeah.
I think they, and it was the greatest thing since the Beatles and the Byrds and all that. So I picked up a copy at a used record store and I listened to it and I was like, whoa, okay, I get it, And In the Street, which I believe is the second song on there. If I'd waited till the second song, I probably would have fell in love with that record. But I met Alex years later, and I told him that story, and he thought that was the funniest thing he ever heard. But I met him. I was a big fan because, after Big Star and all that fell apart, he made a really cool record called Like Flies on Sherbet that was on a independent label called Peabody out of Memphis, which was owned by Sid Selvage, who was a local singer-songwriter guy, folk musician, who had his own label called Peabody, and he released that record produced by Jim Dickinson, and it is a mess. It's like there's a chemical haze, and Alex, what he did on that record is a masterpiece, I think. It's kind of like a Cassavetes film or something. There are no answers on that record. It's just all questions. and it's all like potential not being met, basically. And I kind of figured it out when I got to know Alex that after being in the Box Tops, which was a very professional band, with top 10 hits, they had, 5, maybe, I don't know how many, they were on the charts a lot.
Yeah. Quite a bit.
And they wore matching outfits, and they toured constantly. Like they opened for the Beach Boys, and I think it was 1968, and I think they did 200 shows that year opening for the Beach Boys.
Whoa!
But they were managed by middle-aged men, and they were being produced by Dan Penn, who was not living the teenage lifestyle. So Dan Penn wasn't listening to the Doors and Hendrix. Alex was. So I think that being shoved into a professional he was like a square peg being, banged into a round hole in the music business of a professional act with matching outfits and lip syncing on teen shows and all that kind of stuff. I think by the time he had his freedom, when that was all over, he wanted to be as unprofessional as possible as a reaction to that, which is understandable,
Definitely, yeah.
Kind of like Scott Walker did, similar to Scott Walker. And he achieved that on Like Flies on Sherbet. It's the most unprofessional, disheveled mess you'll ever hear, but it's incredible. And it's a record you can listen to over and over again through the years and always hear something different because it's an unfinished, they never make it to the finish line on any song, really. I mean, they begin and end, but the potential of where it might go is never met. And it's an artistic triumph for me, when I heard it. And he produced the Cramps, which, I love the Cramps. The Cramps were amazing. So when I finally met Alex, I met him probably around 1984. I was being booked by Frank Riley, and I was being managed by the guy that managed the Violent Femmes. And I was looking for a record producer, and the guy from the Violent Femmes wanted to produce me, and I wasn't 100% sure. So I was introduced to Alex, and I gave him a cassette tape. And he held it in his hands, and he looked at it. He's a very weird guy, Alex. Actually, he's not a weird guy, just the way he talked was eccentric, kind of a Southern gentleman, like a little bit of that Memphis accent that sort of sounds like Vivian Lee as Scarlett O'Hara,
Sure,
yeah. Oh, a tape. I think I'll listen to this, that kind of.
Like very laid back.
Very laid back and kind of a lilting, Truman Capote kind of.
A Southern Gothic thing.
Yeah, Southern Gothic thing. Alex definitely had that voice and that demeanor, and he looked at the tape like he had never seen a cassette tape before. He was just looking at it at all angles. And he said, "Are these all originals?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Great, thanks." And so I think 3 years went by. I got a record deal, and Frank Riley was still booking me, and he put me on tour with Alex because we had records that came out the same day. So he thought, okay, let me put these two acts out there together. We'll get double the promotion for the gigs. 2 different record companies promoting the same gig. And we went out on a bunch of shows, and the first one we did was in Kansas City. And I played, and then Alex played. Oh, actually, right before sound check, he said, he walked up to me and said, "Ben, I love that cassette." Like he had just gotten it a week before. It'd been 3 years. I was like, "Oh, thanks." He goes, "Yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing these shows with you." And he was very nice. And I didn't know what to expect because I'd heard stories where he was rude to people or just standoffish and really aloof and just not friendly and kind of shy and stuff. I heard all
just
of those.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, I heard all those descriptions. So I was ready to be on tour with someone who was difficult, and I wanted to accept that in my mind before it even started. And he surprised me. He was really, really nice. After that first gig, we were in this dressing room, which was really a kitchen, because we were at that level,
yeah.
in show business. I call it the lower middle class of show business. And I complimented him on some of the chordings that he was doing, on guitar on stage. And I said, "It's really cool because it's a real old kind of Mel Bay instruction book style of chording." And he said, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, the way you're playing those chords, you're barring a C and bringing it up and barring a G instead of the usual, rock and roll version of it, And he said, "I don't understand what you mean. Show me." So I showed him on guitar. Basically, I basically showed him what he was already doing on guitar. It felt like a pointless exercise to me, but from that point on, he thought I knew more about guitar than he did, which was not only not true, but just ridiculous. If you listen to him play guitar, I mean, it's like that guy was an amazing guitar player, but he got it in his head that I knew more. And I thought he was pulling my leg at first because I was ready for that too, But all the way to the end, he was like, I was the guitar guy. And he would ask me questions, and I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he told me that he would accuse me of holding back and that I was too humble for my own good. And I was like, "No, you don't understand. I have no idea what you're talking about. I really don't."
I'm just showing you what you did.
Yeah. He was a funny guy. Spending a lot of time with him was really cool because he had a great sense of humor. Like one time we were on tour and he kept saying, "Wait till we get to Tuscaloosa, man." I'm like, Bruce Springsteen in Tuscaloosa. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then every night for about a week. And then finally we get to Tuscaloosa and it was just a, normal night. It wasn't even that crowded. And I said, "I thought you were like Bruce Springsteen in Tuscaloosa." And he goes, "Yeah, he's not popular here." And we went into a pawn shop once during the day. We would travel together, and we went in, and he found this synthesizer, like a Casio or whatever, and he plugged it in, and he started playing Jump by Van Halen, like really loud and really enjoying it. And the guy behind the counter started dancing. It was really funny. He was a complicated guy because of the success he had when he was young. And he also was a lifetime pot smoker, so there was a spaced out kind of thing going on there that, I don't smoke pot, so that when I'm in the presence of someone who is at that point of being high, you realize that the conversation is not the same one you're having.
It's floated away, yeah.
Yeah, floating off somewhere, so he would float off. And I had the opportunity to see Alex play a lot because, we shared the bill a lot. So I've probably seen him more than any performer ever because I was in the same room every night for professional reasons. And he could either be really generous on stage or be stingy with his talent. And no one knew why this was or when it was going to happen. Which you were going to get was you never knew. And one night we played a gig, and the next day in the paper there was a review, and a guy said, "Alex Chilton couldn't sing a bad note if he tried, but boy does he try." It was such a great summing up of Alex's unprofessionalism as art that he sometimes performed. A very enigmatic guy, Alex. But he was had an interesting relationship with his audience. 1 minute he would be very grateful when someone would tell him how much the music meant to him. But when it came to the Big Star stuff, and how popular that was, and that's kind of like Pet Sounds to a lot of people. So people who met Alex because they love Big Star, and Big Star saved their life or whatever, when they were awkward adolescents. He was uncomfortable with that, definitely.
Just because it was too intense?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think my Isaac Hayes story made him trust me, because I wasn't a Big Star fanatic. I love Big Star, but I wasn't that, like Flies on Sherbet to me. And if anyone out there has not heard that record, pick it up, because it is really just a phenomenal masterpiece, I think. And
something interesting you said to me about Alex Chilton once was that you're not totally sure we ever, on his recorded work, heard his real voice.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of, if you look back, so with the Box Tops, he's probably being coached by Dan Penn, because Dan Penn has that kind of voice.
Yeah.
So he's got the gruff, when I think about the good love, that gruff thing. That was not real.
Mm-hmm.
That was not real. That was a fabricated voice for that material. And then with Big Star, all of a sudden he sort of has an English accent and sounds like Roger McGuinn or the Left Bank or something, right?
Yeah.
And
I thought they were British. I'll say it. When I first heard them years and years ago, I, for some reason, assumed they were British, and I think that's part of it.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. And then when, like Flies on Sherbet, it's like he sounds kind of like a gay hustler. It's just kind of like coy, kind of like, hey, like Lou Reed almost, but not as low, like baritone, but same kind of like jive, street dude or something. Hustler, like a street hustler. And then he gets into the lounge stuff later on, where he sounds like a blasé lounge singer on a lot of stuff. So there's like 4 different voices with Alex, I guess, Yeah. And I had a really funny moment or experience. I was on tour with him, and he was in the board lounge singer phase, but he got a really bad cold. There was this cold going around in his band, and he got it really bad, and he refused to cancel any shows, and he was in really bad shape, like really, really sore throat. And that night, he sounded like the Box Tops.
The rasp was real that night.
Yeah, I was standing there going, this is almost like the guy from the Box Tops covering Big Star. And I go, oh, it is.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, he really sounded like it. It was like, September Girls. They do so much. It was great. It was great. Yeah, I missed that guy. I collaborated with him, with Alan Vega. We also tried to write songs together. He really wanted to write songs again, because he wasn't writing much near the end. And we got together. We were on tour, and he would say, let's get together after the gig in a hotel room, and we'll write songs. But he would smoke a joint and then order a hamburger and then fall asleep. So there was this kind of joke, and then the hamburger arrived, and I knew that I'm packing up my guitar. It's over, The
hamburger was like the event horizon. If the hamburger's here, there's only one way out of this, and it's not writing a song.
No, we're not going to get anything done from this point on. The last thing that he was working on, he was pretty excited about it. We talked on the phone not long before he died, and he died suddenly, so none of us knew it was going to happen. There was no countdown with Alex.
Right.
He was here, and then he was completely gone overnight. And I was talking to him on the phone, and he was telling me that he's working on a new song, and he's real excited about it. And I go, what is it? And he goes, well, I'm watching these commercials for pharmaceutical drugs, and I'm writing down a list of all of the side effects. And it's just going to be all those side effects sung to a melody, and the song is called Side Effects May Include Death. And he never finished it, as far as I know. Laura, his wife, found the list in his handwriting not that long ago. So that was going to be his last song, but it never happened.
Wow.
Yeah. He I worked with him with Alan Vega. The 3 of us worked together, and we did 2 live shows to promote this record we did called Cubist Blues. And we went over to France, and I remember Lemmy was on the plane with us. So it's Lemmy, Alan Vega, Alex Chilton, and me. And Alex goes, if this plane goes down, I wonder who's going to get top billing in the New York Times. He was a great guy. Not everyone had a great experience with him, because he was shy, and he was withdrawn a lot of the time. And when people tried to penetrate that, his reaction would sometimes not be so nice. But I really enjoyed my time I spent with him. And his discography is just so interesting.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah. He should still be here. I'm bummed out that he's not here. That's really a shame.
Pulling from the song hat for the song segment of this edition of Straight from the Hat. Let's see what's in store for you. $1 Million Smile.
$1 Million Smile. That's a new one. Wow. I'm flattered. My new material is relevant enough to be in the hat. This is great news.
The song hat likes your new songs, yes.
Yeah. This is a song inspired by The Music Man, which may seem like a weird inspiration, but I went to a live performance of The Music Man, the musical, and I'm also paying enough attention to current politics, and I put the two together for this song about these salesmen who come into town and dazzle everybody and leave with their money. So here it goes. This is, let me move the mic here a little bit to get this right. Okay. Here we go. You and your $1 million smile serve you well as you travel over miles, finding fools everywhere you go, leaving town when the money gets low. It starts with a simple hello, a smile, and before you know, you're everybody's new best friend, till it's time to leave again. Down the road you go, never reaping what you sow. A handshake and a slap on the back, with just enough direct eye contact, seals the deal in record time before you move on down the line. Down the road you go, never reaping what you sow. You and your $1 million smile serve you well as you travel over miles, finding fools everywhere you go, leaving town when the money gets low. Leaving town when the money gets low. You and your $1 million smile.
You have just enjoyed another installment of Straight from the Hat with Ben Vaughn. To learn more about the names drawn from the hat for this episode, please visit straightfromthehat.com. Don't forget to tell a friend about this podcast. And please, subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice.